I'm Mike Harvey, owner and founder of Cimarron Firearms Company, and I'm in charge of new production, new models, that we bring out. And this is the latest great one that we have brought to market, and it's probably the greatest that we've brought to market. And anyway, this particular one belonged to Texas Jack Omohundro. It's a famous gun. My SAS alias is Texas Jack Omohundro, and here's the reason why. I've always been interested in Texas Jack Omohundro. Well, anyhow, since probably the 1970s, I came across an original old play poster for a stage play with Buffalo Bill and Texas Jack in it. The play was put on in '72, so I bought this ragged old playbill of that play. The play was called Scout to the Plains, and it was put on in Chicago in 1872. But this got me interested in this character, Texas Jack Omohundro, and so I started collecting bits and pieces of whatever I could find. In about 1980 or so, I was at a gun show in Houston, put on by the Houston Gun Collectors Association, and the Houston Gun Collectors, they have a little bit of everything there. And they have people with old books, Western books and gun books, and I was going through tables and tables full of gun books, and I found this old book. The name of it was Buckskin and Satin, and it was written in the early 1950s by Herschel Logan. So I bought the book, and it was the life of Texas Jack Omohundro. But the book had a picture of Texas Jack's gun, and Herschel Logan had just coincidentally bought this gun through a mail order gun list that goes out monthly. This guy sold, he bought collections and sold off guns individually, and there was a U.S. model #1, first model American, U.S. marked, that he was interested in because it's rare. There were only 1,000 U.S. marked model Americans ever made, and was used by the cavalry in the 1870s. So anyway, Herschel Logan, who wrote for the NRA, bought this gun. Well, when he got it, the gun had an inscription on the side plate: Texas Jack, 1872, Cottonwood Springs. So in Cottonwood Springs, Nebraska in 1872 was the jumping off point for the U.S. cavalry. All of the famous Civil War generals were stationed there. Buffalo Bill was scout to the Army, and they had another scout of the Army that they made an exception to their rule that Confederates could not hold positions, officer positions in the Army, in the Union Army. Well, Texas Jack was one of Jeb Stuart's scouts in the Civil War. He was 17 years old. He lied about his age to get into the war, and he made it to Jeb Stuart's scout because he was such a great horseman and hunter. And so he served the Civil War under Jeb Stuart until Stuart was killed. But anyway, he ended up in Cottonwood Springs, Nebraska as a scout of the Army with Buffalo Bill. There was 2 scouts of the Army, and Texas Jack was one, Buffalo Bill was the other. Well, I have to give this gun credit for my interest in bringing out the first model American. This gun, the first model American by Smith & Wesson, was made in 1870, and this was the first big caliber cartridge revolver made in the United States, the first model American. And if you're going to make replicas of cartridge revolvers, this is the first one, and it's the greatest one. And I say this, when I took this project to Uberti, we decided to use the Schofield that Uberti already makes, and the Russian. They are also first model American, but they're later. This one is 1870, 71, and the Schofield, the Russian is 72, 73, and the Schofield is 1875, and then there was one more, the new model, model number 3, new model, and it was later. So this is the first one, and it's a great gun. I mean, it is a great shooting gun, and I feel that it's the greatest of all of the model number 3s. Anyway, I have another one that's in better condition than this one, but it's not a U.S. marked one. And so I sent that one to the Uberti factory, and they took the drawings off of it. And we used the internals from the Schofield because they had been improved by Smith & Wesson originally. So this gun is actually better than the original model number 3 because of the internals that were improved in the gun. But whenever we received our first samples, they had also put a Schofield grip on it, and the barrel lug under here was Schofield size, so it made it look like a Schofield with a long barrel. So I told them, I think this is great, but this is a gun that was never made. And so we named it the Sco-American, the Sco-American. And we talked to Uberti, and they decided to go all out and make all new tooling to do this gun from the ground up, but still with the improved internals from the Schofield. And this American is, the replica of this gun is fantastic. You'll see these in your gun store soon, but you won't see many of them because the production is tedious. The guns are hand fitted and well made, and it's going to be one of the best replicas you've ever seen. I call it the greatest replica ever made, and it is. I want to thank you for watching, and hopefully you got something out of this, and we'll be back to you with an episode of some of our other goings on here at Cimarron soon. Thank you. Bye.